Mark Johnson from Loyalty360. I want to welcome you back to another edition of Loyalty Live. In this series, we speak with leading agencies, technology partners, and consultants in customer channel and brand loyalty about the technology trends and best practices that impact a brand's ability to drive unique experiences, enhance engagement, but most importantly, impact customer loyalty. Loyalty Live allows for a deeper insight into the state of customer loyalty as Loyalty360 services a number of challenges that brands are having with regard to their customer loyalty efforts. This allows for a response from these wonderful technology providers, the agencies, and the consultants as they are helping their brands, their customers in the same regard. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Bindu Gupta. She's the Senior Director of Customer Strategy, Insights, and Research, and Connie Sisco, who is a Senior Connections Strategist. How are you today?
Great. How are you, Mark?
Good. I'm doing well. Thank you. First off, we like to start these on a more personal note. So we'd love to ask you guys a couple questions about you, your kind of history, kind of your work experience, and your current role at ICF Next. So Bindu, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Sure. Yeah, I'm a senior director, as you said, for customer strategy, insights, and research. I've been in the marketing field for over 10 years, really helping clients problem solve all their loyalty and CRM challenges. Very excited to be here with you, Mark, again, on these Loyalty Lives. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. And Connie?
Yeah, as a senior connection strategist, as you mentioned at ICF Next, I really look for opportunities to bring people and ideas together. I've been with ICF Next for 9 years, and in my current role, I dig into research and insights to uncover data that really enables us to help our clients build strategies that can engage loyalty members in a more personalized way. So looking forward to this conversation.
Okay, great. Most people are familiar with ICF Next. Could you share a little bit more about your organization, what they do, the services you offer, and potentially industries that you specialize in, Bindu?
Sure. Yeah. So we are an agency and we are rooted deeply in participation. We help our clients create moments that matter and inspire loyalty, advocacy, and a shared identity with the people who most influence change for them. So we have a wide range of services from integrated communications, loyalty, CRM, strategy, and business transformation. So we can, solve any client challenge, for them.
Okay, excellent. You recently released a new research paper, Sparking Consumer Participation Through Shared Values and Beliefs. Can you tell us a little bit about that? It's definitely an area that we see a growing amount of interest in. So having brands that have alignment within the organization, to the employee, to the mission, back to the program is very important. And it's a tool to help build emotional loyalty. But a lot of brands struggle with getting that alignment through, having a shared sense of beliefs and values.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as you said, this is gaining, having focus on emotional loyalty has been gaining a lot of, interest among a lot of brands. So this is something we've been kind of doing for a while now in terms of research. This specific report is actually part of our quest to dig deeper into one of the key 6 drivers of emotional loyalty, which it came from a previous proprietary research of ours. So we dug into shared values specifically. So what this report really does is we want to uncover how shared values and beliefs impact the way consumers are interacting with the brand. What are they expecting from brands, and also what kind of actions they are taking if they don't have shared values and beliefs. So it's been really interesting to gain that kind of insight. So when brands do, download and read this report, they will be really surprised with some of the key stats that came out of this research. But the bottom line is that brands need to give values and beliefs the attention they deserve for connecting with their members at a human and emotional level, and for establishing loyalty, advocacy, and eventually identity.
And real quick, Bindu, as a follow-up to that, when you talk about connecting on an emotional level and a kind of a human level, as you know, brands who want to personalize their engagements, it takes a lot of technology, but making it that quote-unquote human interaction can be a challenge for brands. Are there maybe 1 or 2 things that you suggest brands do with regard to creating emotional loyalty, maybe even simplicity in, helping kind of get the shared values and beliefs, more part of the offering?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things, they can really start with is understanding what their own values and beliefs are, because
Right.
sometimes brands are just focused on the transaction, right? So it's all about making the sale. The program is also about earning points and how to get more discounts. So it's very, transactional in nature. So we're not really connecting at that emotional level. We're not bringing in, those additional soft benefits or connecting with them, beyond the purchase. So this report really, digs into what are those things brands should be really focusing on, and not just from a loyalty program perspective, but from an organizational perspective and all different kinds of aspects, and thinking beyond just the transaction.
Okay. Connie, in the report, I think you mentioned 6 different drivers of human connection: trust, reliability, appreciation, investment, empathy, and shared values. What do these values mean to you in ICF Next, and what should they mean to brands in context to their customer loyalty efforts?
Yeah, absolutely. So these are all values that can be leveraged to really strengthen that one-to-one emotional connection that customers really expect out of a loyalty program. There's this expectation of personalization and saying, I understand you and I understand how you engage with our loyalty program. Consumers really want to see that in action. And so when you think about all the different ways that you can make that connection, finding, ways to build trust, ways to ensure that a customer feels like they can rely on the brand, that the brand has empathy for the experience maybe that they're having. Those are all ways, again, that can help better improve the experiences that a customer has with a loyalty program, as well as building a stronger program in itself. So, utilizing the strategies around these 6 key drivers can really help us build programs that are more effective in driving that participation for our clients. What this means for brands, again, I mentioned there's already a heightened expectation for personalization, particularly coming out of the pandemic as well. So digging into shared values and beliefs allows us to understand a little bit stronger or a little bit clearer view of the consumer mindset in order to help build that connection. And again, that helps with that sort of reciprocity of the loyalty program, that two-way relationship between the brand and the consumer.
Okay. And I know we did a report, emotional loyalty analyst paper a year back, and featured your offering in it, and very, very powerful. When you look at shared values, are there challenges, Connie, with kind of getting those quote unquote right within the brand? Because one of the things we see that brands are trying to drive emotional loyalty. They know that certain demographic groups have an interest in quote unquote that alignment and understanding the customer. But shared values can be kind of different depending on who the audience is. And are there some challenges that brands have that you see with regard to shared values?
Yeah, absolutely. Every brand, it's tough for any brand to try and serve all customers. So it's important to understand who it is that you want to talk to and what may resonate with them. When brands download this report and look into it, they will see there is some focus on being authentic. And that could be a way to combat that challenge as a brand. It's not necessarily about trying to make everybody happy or align with the values that they have. It's more about being authentic in reflecting internally as a brand, what really resonates with the brand, and then demonstrating that authentically to the customer will allow a brand to make that human connection.
Okay. And Bindu, in the report, you talk about focusing on the customer values and beliefs. You note that there are key differences between how these are defined, the values and the definitions of beliefs, and what that is associated with for the brand. Can you elaborate on that? How you define the two and how brands should be looking to understand them in regard to what's most important for their customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So through the research, we did discover that consumers see a difference between values and beliefs and how they define them. However, what was really interesting that they found both values and beliefs to be really important for them when they are thinking of interacting with brands. So the way we have defined values as in the report they are timeless and core to their business. So they are, basically the essence of the business, and beliefs are what, comes out of those values, and they're timely and culturally relevant expressions, of those timeless values. So what should brands really do about is, first of all, understand that that they are really important. Both are important to consumers. And then what Connie said, and to adding to that, reflect on your own values and beliefs. Really be authentic when you're thinking about creating the experiences which are going to connect with your target audience, right? And also the values, you have to think about them. They're more universal. They're not really ownable by one brand. There are a lot of values which you're able to connect with multiple people on. So beliefs are how you're going to differentiate the brand. So in our report, we say that beliefs are how values go to market. And we have some ideas in there, specifically, calling out what brands should be doing about it. So again, brands should understand what their own values and beliefs are and use that knowledge to build better connections with their customers.
Okay. Connie, in the report, you talk about some changes that we've seen. Over the last 3 years, a lot has changed due to the pandemic, as everyone knows. 72% of Gen Z has said or did say that their values have changed over the past 3 years, while only 26% of the baby boomers said that theirs did change. So why do you think that is, and how can brands leverage that?
Yeah, absolutely. We saw definitely in the report a wide variety of responses by generation. What we take away from that is that, there's different life stages that the different generations are going through. Younger generations are a little bit more impressionable, in flux. They're still establishing their value systems as they progress through the different life phases, while older generations may be a little bit more rooted and set in their ways. I think the other difference too for some of the younger generations is they're a lot more digitally savvy. They're more empowered to engage with brands digitally, and they live in this digital world. They're communicating online and really see online interaction as a community open to experimenting. And so because of that, the pandemic has enabled brands to show up in many different ways for their customers. And those younger generations are more open to engaging digitally and saying, yep, this is exactly how I want to interact with this brand. The report has a lot more information and insights on some of those generational differences. So definitely an opportunity to dig in there if you read the report.
Okay, great. When you look at the consumer's expectations and perceptions, Bindu, they're rising. They want more out of the brand, quote unquote. They want to have that alignment, as we talked about throughout this interview. What do you think is driving that, and how can brands align around making sure the values and beliefs are copacetic for their end consumers?
Yeah, so I feel like the expectations have accelerated, especially after the pandemic, because brands did show up during the pandemic in a way to show the audience, their customers, that they can do, beyond transactions, right? They can create opportunities, they can be more human. So now why wouldn't the consumer, expect them to continue that kind of experience, right? And also that has become the baseline now. So for example, if it's, buy online, pay in store, or curbside pickup, now these are norms. It's not just because the pandemic, but now this is something which is expected of specific brand. So that is going to create a new baseline, and that's the big reason that the expectations are really high now. So the reason the values and beliefs are so important now is because that's really critical for brands to stand out, because now everybody's doing the same thing. So how can I differentiate myself from my competitor and make sure that I'm connecting, with my audience at a deeper level, which is not, because of, a certain price point, or even for convenience. Maybe it's beyond that. So that's why this topic is, very important at this time.
Okay. Connie, you shared in the report that the number one reasons consumers stop buying from a brand is that lack of shared values. Why do you think that is, and how should brands react and adapt to this insight, obviously, but also to the fact that the consumers' changing values and preferences are occurring?
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many more brands and products out there for consumers to choose from. So that increased choice and availability across the board allows, or really, supports the fact that shared values can play a role in sort of helping a consumer decide between brand A or brand B. So, that is, I think, why we see that a lot of customers will say, you know what, I'm going to switch from this brand to that brand because while the products are similar, I'm seeing shared values come to life from one brand over the other. The other thing, and we mentioned this as well already regarding some of the generational things, is that consumers are more empowered and they do seek input from peers as well. And so that differentiation of the shared values can be the tipping point to either engage a consumer or turn them off. For brands and how they should, react and adapt, it's important to assess your current loyalty strategy against your own values and beliefs and find ways to really weave the values and beliefs into your program benefits, the ways that you communicate with members, and then, of course, the ways that the consumers are going to be engaging with your brand.
Okay. So Bindu, when you look at this from a holistic perspective, what does this mean for brands? They're struggling right now with keeping up with technology. They have ChatGPT now. They have, organizational opportunities. Where do brands go from here? Is there one piece of advice that you would suggest for brands or one first step you think that they should be considering that will help establish their own values and beliefs?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big takeaway is that they cannot ignore shared values and beliefs if they want to build that long-term connection with their customers and even their loyalty program members. So my, one piece of advice would be to reflect on their own values and beliefs and imbibe them in every interaction with their customers and their members. And this goes beyond, just having a loyalty program. It's, thinking really deeply and figuring out what is that authentic, connection point they can really talk to their customers about, and we've been, listening to having, too many kinds of purpose-driven, approaches, but they're not always authentic. So authenticity is going to be really critical when we, look inwards as an organization and then, take every step which is going to reflect that shared value and belief.
Okay. Connie and Bindu, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today. It was very interesting to hear your insights from your report, and I look forward to hearing more from the ICF team throughout the year.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone else, for taking the time to tune into Loyalty Live. Make sure you join us back again soon, and have a wonderful day.